The Revelator Dynamic mic and iO24 interfaces are just two of the new Revelator series of USB-C audio interfaces by PreSonus. If you're looking at one of the units in this lineup, you might have a use for one of the others somewhere else in your work too. They each offer some unique selling points, and we'll talk about the differences between these two shortly, but it seemed like a good idea to combine their full reviews into one video. And our quick unboxing and demo videos are linked below for both of these as well if you're into that. We talked in those videos about the big reasons to be looking at these over other interfaces, and foremost in my opinion is how they connect and present themselves to your computer as three independent audio interfaces when switched into multi-mode. It's a critical feature for anyone streaming or doing advanced video conferencing or presentations online, and it's not something that most interfaces can do. PreSonus has also put a lot of development into their universal control software in recent years, and that's where the whole Revelator lineup really comes together. There is a whole playlist on this channel going back a number of years now, with a ton of their other products that connect through and use universal control in a similar fashion. So we've seen a lot of what they've been doing with that product all along. While other interfaces in their lineup use universal control to change settings or routing, the Revelator series in universal control is a real software audio mixer that you'll want to use. It also feels more like it has been designed for everyone to use and not just audio enthusiasts or professionals. As more people understand products like this and have access to them, business meetings and presentations are just going to continue to become far more dynamic on a day-to-day basis. We already know how impactful combining digital media and video into business is for bigger events and special presentations. It's hugely impactful when you pull it off. I think whoever brings the best of that functionality down to an individual user's level in a way that they can understand and afford is going to have a great road ahead of them in the next few years. This same energy was around in the home studio market as it came to life in the early 90s, and PreSonus did very well for themselves then. They got where they are today by making accessible and understandable gear for musicians, music performance, and recording music primarily. Their gear has never really been aimed at competing with the top of the industry for the ultimate sound quality or even flexibility in how the features work. But what they do is get a lot of functionality into the hands of folks who would have never had access to it before, and that provides an important bridge for users to get involved with this kind of technology and start growing. I think it's great to see companies like PreSonus taking on the challenge of understanding a whole new type of user and a whole new set of needs and priorities. I'm personally looking forward to the days where gaming and streaming culture of buying a really good mic and an audio interface is standard practice for business professionals too.
As for me, I like the stock.
I think those days are going to come pretty quickly here, and the next generation aren't going to be impressed with your stale PowerPoint slides and a bunch of excuses why your mic isn't muted at the right time. Good digital communication skills are essential going forward, and you actually do need some tools to do that well. So if I was keeping just one of these for business use, hands down, it would be the Revelator Dynamic. With a pair of headphones and a USB-C cable, you've got literally everything you need in an extremely portable package with nothing else to worry about bringing. I found the Revelator Dynamic to be a very usable microphone. This is the microphone right now on the broadcast basic setting with the high pass filter moved up to 80 Hz and the gate turned off. The presets are a tiny bit aggressive, maybe specifically in how the gates are set, and the compressor and limiter settings may not be ideal for how much gain you apply to the mic input, but they are a starting point. Sean Hitchcock asked in a previous video how the noise floor is on this mic, specifically citing something he'd seen online about it being a concern. I've only seen one video where that is specifically brought up as an issue. There was also some speculation there about if it was the USB-C cable that was provided that might have been the cause, but I don't think that's true. The one I have works exactly the same with the cable that came with it as it does with an Amazon Basics cable and all the other cables that I have. There's no way to isolate the preamp and the microphone and the interface in the Revelator Dynamic, so the best thing I can do is compare it to the iO24 using another broadcast microphone, the Electro Voice RE320 that I have on hand. So this will be pretty unscientific, but should give us a little A/B comparison on noise floor for like a typical use with as similar settings as possible between the two. All right, so this is the Revelator Dynamic on the Broadcast Light preset that I've been using so far in this video with 40 dB of gain, so this should sound pretty similar to how I sounded before. Now, if you recall this preset without adjusting it, the gate will be turned on, and that's what this sounds like now. So you're hearing the Broadcast Light preset, which has an 80 hertz high-pass filter, a moderate gate. So here's the Broadcast Light preset without the gate. And now if we turn off the fat channel completely, you'll hear that noise floor change. And this is with no fat channel turned on at all, and turning it back on again. If I flip over to the Broadcast Basic preset, again, we've got the gate, pretty harsh gate. We can turn that off. Let's have a look, see where the high pass filter is, all the way down at 40 hertz. That's pretty low. That's pretty low for a high pass filter on a broadcast mic. And you can have these presets over here. You can have, we can adjust this to either be you can have 4 presets, 2, or just 1. So we'll go back and you should be able to see now. I've got 4. I can have a preset with reverb if you like that. Witness protection. Computron 4000. So there are other effects here as well. And the way those work, so if we go back to our Broadcast Light preset and turn off the gate again, we've got a hotkey here that we can have as an effect. And we can also change what that does down here. So that can go to be a pitch down effect if you want. Or it can be slap back, do a distortion. On this version right now, the hotkey name just always seems to stay as slap echo. Hopefully they'll fix that in the future, and that will actually represent whatever you have chosen here for the hotkey effect. Let's jump over the iO24 and compare how that sounds now. So with the RE320, we needed about 10 dB more gain to get the same level into Reaper to record. So we're at 50 dB of gain on this microphone. The fat channel set to broadcast with the gate turned off. And you can see here how that looks just a little bit different for this fat channel setup compared to the Dynamic, the Revelator Dynamic here, which has some additional controls. And again, with the gate turned on, there's actually a truck going by right now. And I wonder if that's doing an okay job of blocking that out, but we'll see. You'll be able to hear that now before I do. And again, we've got the same hotkey that we can set to do different things. And this one also does not. And that one also doesn't change the name. And for our presets here, again, we can choose whether it's 2 or 1. We also have output delay on the different USB streams that we can apply. So we can apply up to 500 milliseconds of output delay. That's really cool. And then you can also choose to have the fat channel not process out to the different channels on the stream mix. If you just want a dry send, you can do that as well. You can assign the voice effects to affect either one of these 2 channels on the iO24. Obviously, the Revelator Dynamic is just a single input, so you don't have that choice there. But hopefully without the gate turned on here and the fat channel as similar as I can reasonably get it, you'll be able to tell a little bit about the noise floor difference in these 2 setups. All All right, so this is the Revelator Dynamic on the Broadcast Lite preset that I've been using so far in this video with 40 dB of gain, so this should sound pretty similar to how I sounded before. So with the RE320, we needed about 10 dB more gain to get the same level into Reaper to record. So we're at 50 dB of gain on this microphone, the fat channel set to broadcast with the gate turned off. So maybe you can hear that little bit of difference in the top end noise between the Revelator Dynamic and what you're hearing now, which is the iO24 and an RE320 microphone by Electro Voice. But obviously the RE320 is a $300 or so microphone by itself. So with the Revelator Dynamic, you are getting a lot of functionality. And if that's your priority, the routing and being able to route mixes back to different streams and different software, you're getting an incredibly usable tool in the Revelator Dynamic. And I can't imagine you would get any comments whatsoever in a business setting or a gaming setting or a streaming setting over any of the popular platforms for having a little bit of extra noise. And as you might have seen pop up, the preset for the Revelator Dynamic that we're using has quite a bit of gain boosted in the compressor, as well as the top end boosted in the EQ. So you could absolutely work with that to make it a little bit less harsh in the top end, or possibly eliminate a lot of that noise completely, depending on how you're going to be using it. So for a workstation setting or someone looking to buy a nice microphone separately, or anyone needing a second input, like if you're hosting a podcast regularly with a guest, the iO24 is a great way to go. The interface has 60 dB of very usable gain at the input, and there's no real need for cloud lifters in my opinion, as you can bring the gain up even more with the built-in processing and mixer before sending it out to whatever destination or stream you're sending it to. It's still bus powered over USB-C as well, so you don't need to carry a plug to plug it into wall power or fool around with adapters or things like that and additional cables. For a setup where you'd want to connect studio monitors, the balanced 1/4-inch outputs on the iO24 make that really simple, so that could be the reason alone that you'd go with this. And the MIDI in and out can be really useful for mapping all sorts of controllers to software, or conversely, mapping software to control external hardware. This isn't just for making beats. There are all sorts of other non-musical applications where MIDI can be really useful to control things. So wrapping things up, I think either of these interfaces could be a good fit on almost anyone's desk. Audio interfaces and software are being used for so many different things these days. New customers have new ideas, and those ideas have new needs, and a lot of times they really do need some new tools like these designed with them in mind. Pro audio companies really can't miss the opportunity to reach that wide of an audience in the coming years. Right now, we get more questions here most weeks from business professionals and streaming creators than ever before. It used to be all musicians and people dealing with music primarily. Wanting good quality, consistent audio when you're presenting or video conferencing is a huge priority right now for a lot of people. Creating mix minuses and routing guest audio properly to different destinations is a serious priority that a lot of folks seem to be slowly discovering that they have. It's great to see PreSonus putting out purpose-built products to address these new users, and they're doing it with the familiar style and approachability that served them so well over the last few decades. I hope if these are the kind of features that you're looking for in an interface, you'll consider checking these out. I think they've done a great job with them, especially at the price. The price is a huge deal for the functionality, I think, of these. And if you need that functionality, I think you'll be pleased with the value that PreSonus is offering here. That's all for this one, though. Thanks so much for watching.